Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the VoskCoin YouTube channel where we talk about everything crypto, but especially a lot of mining stuff. And today is no different. We're going to be talking about the Innosilicon A10 Ethereum ASIC miner. So earlier, maybe sort of a year or so ago, we talked about the Bitmain Antminer E3, a ASIC miner developed specifically for mining Ethereum. An ASIC miner is an application-specific integrated circuit miner produced by companies with poor business ethics that really don't care at all about you, mainly out of China and that relevant area. So these are ASIC miners in a nutshell. They're very easy to deploy, they're very easy to work with. You literally buy them, take them out of the box, you put a power cable in, you put an Ethernet cable in, and you log in remotely through any computer, put your address in and mining pool of your choice, and boom, now you're up mining. As opposed to GPU mining, which utilizes graphics cards along with basically computer components, and from there you assemble it all together and you can mine Ethereum or many other cryptocurrency coins on various mining algorithms. Ethereum is really credited with the resurgence in GPU mining starting back in about 2016 with the launch of Ethereum, and really getting crazy in 2017 and 2018 with the crypto bull run. That's a brief background on the situation. The point is that people thought that the Antminer E3 and Ethereum, really the first mainstream Ethereum ASIC miner to be released publicly, was going to kill Ethereum GPU mining. But to be honest, it wasn't super efficient, and there really just wasn't that many of them produced in the grand scheme of things compared to the overall Ethereum hash rate. However, now Innosilicon is finally pumping out their A10s, which were announced last year, but this is like they're starting to roll them out in bigger batches now. So these miners are very efficient, effective, and to be honest, they kill Ethereum GPU mining. Like, if you think that Ethereum GPU mining is going to be okay after a ton of these hit their destinations, you're just very oblivious, man. And these aren't even that great. These are like super crazy profitable. They just simply outclass GPU miners by a big enough margin that, to be blunt, like, you're wasting your time and electric mining Ethereum with GPUs unless you are just obsessed with Ethereum. And to be clear, this miner mines the ETH hash mining algorithm, which is the mining algorithm for Ethereum, as well as other coins like Ethereum Classic, which is a fork of the original Ethereum chain, and so forth, whatever. Anything that has ETH hash or an Ethereum fork that kept that same proof of work mining algorithm can be mined with this device. So this thing is a massive blow to GPU mining. But I could just keep saying that, but let's go ahead and start the actual review of the miner. Let's look at the specs, let's look at the performance, 24-hour earnings, how much does it cost, where can you get it, if in our opinion, if you think you should even buy it, and so forth. So you get the miner, you take it out of the box, you put it on a shelf, you plug in power, you plug in Ethernet. This thing only uses 750 watt. There's so many power supplies that can output that. You log into your router, you figure out what the associated IP address is. For me, it's going to be 0.229 here, and then you put in admin, and that is the login information for this miner, and it logs you, well, into the miner. From there, we can customize it, we can look at everything, or above all, we can put on a dark theme, which is, you know, it's just so overdue. I'm loving the dark theme is becoming a mainstream thing for everything lately. So, you know, it's putting out our hash rate right now at, you know, it's reporting 600 mega hash a second at a 93% accepted rate and fan speed, which is adjustable, of 35%. So this is a good overview. You click on pools, you guessed it, you can put your pool information. Right now we're just mining on F2 pool. This is the relevant information for that. You put your username, .worker name, that's ours. Password, I believe, can be anything or just X, so we have X there. We can click down here to performance, and from here we can review the actual tuning modes that this miner has. We have an efficiency mode, we have a balanced mode, we have a factory mode, we have a performance mode, and there's a bunch of ticks right here in between. So let's say we go to performance plus, right? So all the numbers we're going to talk about today are just based off the factory mode, have not adjusted this, but this is going to overclock the miner, as it warns you right there, and from there it's going to tune it to try to find the best performance that is relevant. So, you know, just taking a mental snapshot here. With that snapshot, you can see we're averaging probably about 500 mega hash a second. If you click over, or I click over here to the 24-hour hash rate, and the average is 508 mega hash a second over, obviously, the last 24 hours. So pretty cool that it's just so simple to overclock and downclock your miner here. So if you have a high electric rate, well, efficiency is probably going to be the better bet. But if prices are crazy, or if you have free power, then as far as like crypto prices, like it's a big upswing and maybe you want to get a little bit more coin right now, or obviously if you have free or super cheap power, you may want to really ramp this thing up. Obviously it depends on so many variables, and that's up for you to decide. Otherwise, navigating the miner is very fluid, much better than their old firmwares. This has been updated very well. We come in here, we can upgrade the firmware if we want to. We've got a remote reboot option right there. We have a factory reset option, as well as some other information that you probably don't really care about. We're gonna have to come back to this because the tuning process, you'll see that this miner does take a while to start up. Basically plug it in and configure your pool and just leave it alone for like 30 minutes while it does its tuning stuff. And after that, you'll be able to get good information here in the dashboard. So again, going back to the performance of this miner, we've got 30-minute hash rate, we've got a 1-day hash rate. I've had this miner for about a week now, and it's been doing fantastic, to be honest. That downtime, I simply unplugged it. I was doing some stuff in the garage, and it was annoying me. So I just unplugged it at that time. As we can see here, we've got total revenue on mining Ethereum with this account. Most of that is from this miner, or how much we've earned over the last 24 hours. You get a nice snapshot right here, just at a glance. We can break it down and look at performance per worker. So say I had another A10, I'd have another option right here, and I could evaluate that side by side. And this is really showing you a similar dashboard to our home right here, but this would be all of our miners, and we can break it down individually here. We only have one, so it's pretty much the same thing. Looking at the 24 hours of earning with this miner, you can quickly see pretty stable. I mean, this is a PPS pool pay per share, so it should be a relatively stable earning that we're getting here. That day is with the downtime. That was, I think that there was also downtime that day as well. So this was a normal day, 0.041, 0.036, maybe a little bit of downtime, 0.0385, I don't believe any downtime, and then 0.039 there. You can see with our hash rate per day combines all your hashes basically. So we had 49 gigahash, 49 gigahash, 48 gigahash, which should be about the hash rate you're getting with the normal factory mode per day. Not all pools configure it so straightforward. One of the reasons we use F2 pool for these reviews. Looking at the difficulty chart, Ethereum recently forked, and with that they corrected basically a difficulty time bomb ice age. So could sort of look at it as an issue within their code, and from there, really the solid bar here is the difficulty, and from there it plummeted the difficulty, which made Ethereum more profitable to mine because the lower difficulty is simply going to be more profitable, and the difficulty adjusts to compensate with the hash rate. So basically the proper amount of coins are mined and the blockchain moves properly and at the right speed and all that stuff. A lot to it, but the point is it drops down. Obviously hash rate is going to go up some when people get wind of that, and then the difficulty will adjust some to correct for that. But once you get this drop, you're getting a whole new baseline, right? So it adjusted for this increase in hash rate, but that's the adjustment. It's not like it's going to adjust up here. And that is obviously going to improve Ethereum mining profitability, which has played into most of our earning calculations right here. This is the official listing with Innosilicon. And also, to be clear, this video is made possible today thanks to Coin Mining Central for sending us this miner to review. It's very difficult to order with Innosilicon. They like a lot of information, and really before they never sold quantities of one. It would be a minimum of 10, 100, 1,000. So that's a big deal, just that they even let you offer one. Doesn't come with a power supply, and you need a freight forwarder. So very quickly, this 2,500, which looks much cheaper than the reseller, well, I mean, I guarantee you're probably going to be like at 3 Gs once you get done with all this BS and some more hurdles. No hesitation if you want to get this miner to recommend Coin Mining Central on this model. Get 3% off with the coupon code VoskCoin. And also, if you guys support them, then they'll support us on the channel, help us stay up to date with the latest and greatest miners. This is a miner that you could easily run on residential American Electric, which is 110 volt. If you'd like to do that and you're ordering from here, you can simply select a 110 volt power supply. If you have upgraded electric or say 240 volt in America, America, or you are international, like say you're somewhere in Europe or like UK where you've got 220 volt standard, well, that's cool, that's fine, that's really better, preferred. And then you can just go ahead and choose a relevant power supply. 220 volt is good for 220 volt to 240 volt, etc. And 110 volt is good for 110, 120. There's a little bit of discrepancy there. I could go on and on about electric, but basically you've got like 110-ish or 220-ish, simple as that. If you're wondering about the noise of this miner, it's a pretty quiet miner. It only has 2 fans on the front, no fans on the rear, and it doesn't consume a lot of power, and it has a pretty big case, so it doesn't need to move a ton of air. So these fans don't have to, we don't need more fans, and they don't have to be spinning very high. Like we showed earlier, just sitting in my garage at like, maybe 80 degrees Fahrenheit, it is just moving at 35% fan speed. That's how we get a pretty quiet readout here. As opposed to this miner running and an S17 running, which is consuming, upwards high 2,000 watts. In the similar case size, obviously it's going to be much, much louder. It's got a lot more heat to move. Energy consumed is going to create heat. That heat's got to go somewhere, get off the chips to stay within operating temperature. So as we continue to wait for that overclocking to ramp up and we can evaluate that, let's look at our average earnings here. I take the 0.039 as basically like an average day of earnings. That equates to $5.30 per day. That's not including an electric cost. So once we and that's based off the current Ethereum price of 135. If we take that and we look at our electric cost at 12 cents per kilowatt hour, we're going to be looking at $3.67 per day after we pay our electric bill. At a price of about $3,000 to get into this miner, it's going to take almost 1,000 days before we break even on this miner and have any sort of profit to talk about. Keep in mind, if Ethereum goes up, this thing becomes increasingly more profitable, which could really help to offset, your ROI, your return on your investment, really like accelerate you to your break-even point, right? But that's a huge variable, which basically leads me to my next point, that this is a very risky miner. If you've got free electric, well, that obviously accelerates your break-even point. If you're a huge Ethereum fanboy and you just want the latest and greatest Ethereum miner and you love it and you're gonna run it for a while, we better hope they don't drop a big, better one on that algorithm against you. And that's not even including all that proof of stake stuff. So proof of stake, right? What is proof of stake? Basically, Ethereum wants to move away from proof of work because it's, energy intensive and whatever else. And I won't go into all that stuff. But basically, they want to move to proof of stake. And they're worried about miners trying to stop the transition to proof of stake. And then there's also no one ever knows. Ethereum was supposed to move to proof of stake in 2017, 2018, 2019. Now it's 2020. Still no proof of stake. They're getting closer. To be honest, we won't see proof of stake on Ethereum in 2020. And I'm very confident saying that. We're probably looking sometime in 2021 or really 2022. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So keep in mind, like if you don't at least break even on your machine by the time that they move to proof of stake, whenever that is, because no one has any idea. I think they don't even have an idea, right? If you don't even break even on this thing, you'll have to hope that these other coins are profitable enough for you to still, make some earnings, or there's another coin that takes off and wants to use that same mining algorithm to basically take advantage of all this hardware. Again, huge risks, huge variables. At the end of the day, guys, this is a very interesting miner. Kind of makes you wonder, how many of these things have been running behind the scenes before they go public, and what quantity. It's been a pleasure to use, absolutely. And just from a operation standpoint, I'm not saying I like it, okay, but it's like the machine's fine. The operating system's good, not clunky. It's working. It does what it's supposed to do. From that point of view, it's good. It's a good miner. Would I recommend it? I think it's too risky, but it's totally up to you. So if you want to buy it, go ahead. Got links in the video description below, but it's not something I'm personally going to load up my farm with. And I mean, that's just it. That's my whole point with this channel, guys, is to give you real takes. Here's the awkward, surprising update on the overclocking figures for this miner. So granted, this has only been up for like an hour, but we can see our hash rate previously on the factory setting, you know, going pretty well, pretty smooth, drop down when we change the settings and then while it retunes. But yeah, so far it's doing terrible. The hash rate has decreased, even though the miner claims to have completed its tuning status, which you can view here under the settings, performance, and you know, right here on the tuning status. So you know, I could test this more, but it's really not a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and move it back to the factory settings, because honestly that was working pretty well. So here it is. For whatever it's worth, implore you to continue research on your own miner. With all that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the thumbs up on it, leave a comment below, let me know your thoughts on all of this, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the VoskCoin YouTube channel. I'll see y'all next time.
I'm shining.